Gonna be reading on why people cry over you, or what they cry about. So, pile one is gonna be this complete moisture chapstick, blistex. Pile two is gonna be this vanilla frosting lip smackers I've had since preschool. And pile three will be this broken eyeshadow brush. Alright, pile one, this can be reading on why people cry over you. Let's get into it. Spirit, why do people cry over my pile ones? Queen of Disc in reverse. I'm hearing people cry because of how they treated you, or like specifically the way they treated you wrong. For a small bit of you, it's not necessarily that they treated you wrong, it's just that they didn't get to treat you the way they wanted. Or it's like they didn't in retrospect, but now, or I mean, they didn't before, but now in retrospect, they wish they had, and so they cry over it, because it's really just a strong feeling of regret, over things you can't change. We have the King of Goblets. I feel like if you've ever had to tell someone off, or had to like forcibly establish your boundaries on someone who is being pushy, or if you've ever had to like give someone some real harsh advice or criticism, somebody could have cried over that, because you're really emotionally intelligent, pile one, and you really know your shit. You're not gonna say something unless you know for sure what you're talking about, and when you do say something that is as important as that, you tend to drop bombs. And when people are so caught up in those things, it tends to be because they can't let those patterns go. But when they face you, it's like suddenly they're having to face those patterns, and it's like people cry over that, whether from feelings of frustration, feelings of not wanting to change or move on, feelings of feeling offended, or feeling like you're competition or something. Really, it just stems from like being shocked by your words because their subconscious has been sort of needing those words to hear. Like that's what their subconscious has been needing to hear. But it's such a shock to the system because it's something that they had so intensely not been willing to accept about themselves, like these toxic patterns, these karmic patterns. And you just see straight through people, and like people really like you, but they know that if they continue a relationship with you, you're going to see straight through them, and you're going to point out those karmic patterns. And so those people know that they have to like change to still be friends with you or still be in your life. And it's just this feeling of frustration, this feeling of knowing that you, pile one, are right, but wanting to reject that truth, wanting to reject everything just because it's so frustrating. I don't know, people have cried over that. Why do people cry about pile one? Why do people cry about pile one? The Wheel of Fortune in reverse. For some of you, you went through something extremely like horrific or horrendous, that was made public knowledge, or that is public knowledge, but you don't know that it's public knowledge. And Apparently some people have cried over your trauma or the things that you've been through because they just thought it was so unfair and unjust. And they cried out of sympathy and empathy. For others of you, people have cried over basically just things not going right with you. It's like people cry over you because something went wrong between y'all, and now y'all can't really like talk to each other or be in each other's lives because of that. It's like people get really hung up over not being able to be in your energy, and people get really hung up over hurting you. Even though they'll do it in the moment, it's like people will always end up regretting it, or like even if they don't cry over it, it's like there's a lot of energy of people crying over their regret over you. I keep hearing, I didn't want things to end this way. I didn't want things to be this way. It's like people will be crying about that. They'll just be like, I didn't want it to be this way. I wish things could have been different. It's kind of messed up because it's like the kind of people who cry over you are the kind of people who like had a chance to like change things, but then don't realize it till later on. It's like people don't get upset and start crying over you until they've lost you. It's like there's a lot of taking you for granted energy, pile one. A lot of people take you for granted and then cry over it later on. What else do people cry about, my pile one? Why else do people cry about, my pile one? We have Ace of Wands in reverse. Literally, some people have cried over not getting to fuck you, or maybe they used to get to fuck you and they don't anymore, and it's like they've literally cried over it like a little baby. Maybe they really liked the way you know, but yeah. Some people cry because you've rejected them, or because they want to be in a relationship with you and they can't. Other people cry over you because of this like deep-seated hatred for you. Like some people just really hate you for no reason, pile one, and will project everything onto you and just like yeah, I don't even know what this energy is, but it's like these same people who are so angry at you and will be yelling at you or bullying you or saying all these mean things will like be crying over you because like of how intense their hatred is. I don't know, it's this weird energy. Somebody's mentally unstable who's like angry at you and crying at you and wants revenge over you. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Somebody who's mentally unstable like created a narrative in their head that you hurt them and that you manipulated them, even though it was the other way around. And so they cry over themselves and they're like, oh, I'm the victim. Oh, I was so hurt. Why am I always hurt? How could Pawan do this to me? And yeah. Meanwhile, they are actually the psycho in the situation. It's just like, yeah, they're just crying over themselves because it's like they like to victimize themselves. Even that while they're crying, they know that they're being ridiculous. They just really like going through the motions of like crying and acting like a victim. Like crying in a way that they are the victim. I've heard some people cried because you cut them off, or that they don't have access to you anymore, but specifically you made it to where they wouldn't have access to you anymore. It's like they're crying because they're frustrated that you don't care enough to like want to go after them or whatever. It's like these people who hurt you still expect you to like come back crawling or like come back crying one day and be like, oh, I miss you so much, but then it never happens, and then they cry over it and they're confused. They're like, wait a minute, but I thought Pile 1 was gonna always suck up to me. What else have people cried over in my pile 1s? What else have people cried over in my pile 1s? We have strength in reverse. So, like, a lot of people have projected onto you or been really cold to you. Or, like, even done things indirectly that ended up hurting you. And it's like these people are too ashamed and embarrassed to say and admit this out loud. But they are extremely ashamed and embarrassed of, like, how their actions affected you. It's like the type of thing where they think about it at night and it just haunts them and it replays in their head over and over again. And there's extreme heart chakra blockages coming from this person. And I feel like they have, like, major inner child wounds. And they were treating you like they treat their inner child. And so they just cry over it and cry over it because, you know, it's their own inner child wound that they still haven't healed and they're projecting out into the world. I'm hearing from Spirit that you get a lot of people entering your life who have extremely wounded inner childs and they project that onto you. Because people get attached to your inner child energy, pile 1. What I'm hearing is that you're extremely in touch and attuned to your inner child. And people can hate you for this or, like, be hard on you for this. And you maybe didn't know why before. But they just didn't like that part of you because they didn't like that part of themselves. I'm hearing people cry over you whenever they're extremely drunk or on drugs. Like, I'm hearing tripping on drugs, tripping acid. People cry over you while they're stalking your social media. Yeah, people cry over you while they're stalking your social media. They'll be, like, doing it for a while and just, like, it's like they're egging themselves on. They'll be crying and then they'll, like, look at your social media so they can cry more. I guess let's get one more card. Spirit, why people crying over my pile 1s? Why people crying over my pile 1s? With the Tower in reversed here, it's like you're this beautiful, stable person, you know, pile 1. You've been through a lot of bad things in life. You've encountered a lot of bad people and been through a lot of bad relationships. So much so to the point where, like, even your friends and family see that in you. I'm feeling like it's a combination of people who care about you crying over the hardships you've been through because you're just such a stable and beautiful and compassionate and intelligent person. You're such a kind person, pile 1, that the people that love you cannot comprehend how you could have ever been hurt in this way, or why it could have ever happened, or why you've been through so many of these bad, negative experiences. It's just shocking to them. It's genuinely, like, incomprehensible. Because you're just such a nice person, pile 1. You're such a good-hearted being that, like, people strongly believe you never deserved any of these things. And people maybe get a little emotional about that. And then people get emotional. The people who put you through those bad things get emotional because they see that you still have the stability, you still have the strength, you're still in touch with your inner child. Like, it's like the only reason those people could even get off on hurting you in that way or putting you down in that way is that it would have a lasting impact on you. And of course it had a lasting impact on you, but in a different way than they thought. Like, you actually changed and turned those hardships into something positive, something that was unique in your own. It had nothing to do with those negative people. And it's like those negative people are like crying over the fact that they no longer have an edgeway into your life, have a foot in the door. It's just like they see your abundance, they see your stability that you have now and how much you've grown despite all the pain you've been through. And it's like people would legitimately cry over missing the opportunity of treating you right, over hurting you in the first place because you're such a beautiful person. They realize you never deserve that. And over the fact that they no longer can have access to your energy and have and share in that abundance that you used to so freely give them. If you chose this Lip Smackers vanilla frosting, that is very expired because I've had it since preschool. This gonna be reading. Why do people cry about you, Pile 2? What do people be crying about you for? Pile 2, you may not really like believe that anybody cries over you. You're like, cry over me? Psh. But it happens more often than you think. With the Four of Wands here, along with the Ace of Goblets in reverse. Maybe I should rephrase that. It doesn't happen necessarily more often than you think, but it's like when people do cry over you, oh my god. It is just like, here comes the waterworks. It's like a whole water park just moved in. I don't know how to explain this well, but it is intense and a little bit ridiculous in how intense it is. Yeah, people don't just cry over you. They go a little crazy. Like, they break down. Yeah, it's like, it's not just crying. It's not just weeping. It's like full on screaming, shaking, throwing shit, like punching the wall, screaming into a pillow, grabbing blankets, grabbing your own hair, just like, oh yeah. Some people cry about you while listening to like death metal or like rage music or something like that. They're like, rah, 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 and they're like sobbing at the same time. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm hearing people sometimes will cry over you instead of just talking to you and explaining their issues to you and being vulnerable to you. It's like, yeah, maybe something would happen into your relationship with someone, but instead of your partner like talking to you about the problem and asking you for help and advice and asking you if you could like alleviate their insecurity about whatever it was, they would go be by themselves and they would cry about it and they'd be like, Pile 2 will never understand. I'm alone in this. It's like people who are supposed to trust you, people who are supposed to like not be insecure around you would like go behind your back and be crying and be assuming that you would hurt them or not understand them. Some people cry because some people cry because they like want to spill their guts out to you or want to like tell you something emotionally. Like somebody really wants to like write you a whole letter, write a whole paragraph, or write a really long text or something. I don't know what it is, but it's like they really need to say something because they're like, they think about it all the time. They're really emotional about it, but it's like they can't say it. They feel like they can't for some reason, and they'll cry over that. Some people just cry over their relationship with you. Like, not even in a negative way. It's just like they love you so much and they love the relationship so much that they'll just cry over it. They'll just be overwhelmed with like joy and love. Some people cry over you like, I'm hearing you have this like childlike appearance or childlike beauty, like soul. Maybe you have a really innocent sense of life or a really optimistic view of the world, and people will cry over that for some reason. It's like people think that you might get snuffed out like a light, or that the world would be really harsh to you, just because you're such a sweet and pure person that they like, I don't know, it's like they cry about it because they're just like so scared that something might happen to you. Why are people crying over my pile too? What are they crying over my pile too for? This Seven of Cups really want to come out. It's in reverse though. Maybe somebody was indecisive about like a choice to make when it came to you or y'all's relationship or y'all's friendship, and they would cry just because they felt like they couldn't make a choice, or they would cry because they didn't make a choice and now they regret it. People cry because you used to be an option, now you aren't. People cry because you have so many options. It's like, dude, some people would get so jealous and be like, oh my god, they'd actually be crying because you have so many options other than them and they feel like they'd never get a chance with you. Like, bro, the amount of options shouldn't make sense. It's like, if you're meant to be in a person's life, nothing's gonna stop that. Nothing should stop you from that. Like, I'm hearing people would like make excuses to themselves over like why they couldn't or shouldn't be with you. It's like, for whatever reason, people felt like they were wrong for being with you, or they were sinning or something. It's like this energy where some Christian person thought it was a sin to be with you. That might be a specific case for some of you, but it's just that kind of energy where it's just like people felt devious for being with you, or that they were engaging in debauchery. And they would cry over that because they felt guilty or something. Maybe like some of you are LGBTQ and your person would like cry over their own internalized homophobia, or maybe cry over homophobia of people around them who is like pressuring them. Six of Swords. You know, if you've gotten into a new relationship, somebody's crying over their jealousy of your new relationship. Or if you've entered a new period of stability and like self-love, people are crying over your new sense of tranquility and calmness. It's like they're crying just because you're moving on and you're in a state of calmness, and they're still feeling in a state of chaos. They still feel stuck. They still feel stuck, like they can't move on. People I'm hearing cry because they feel like you left them in the dust. But like, if I can't grow with you, I'm not gonna go with you. Why are people crying over my pile too? We have Death in reverse. You could have a really beautiful singing voice, or if you play music or instruments, people cry over that. Your song. People cry while listening to music, like not just the rage music I was thinking of earlier, but people will listen to slow, sad music and think of you. It's like this energy where people will like really be listening to the music and just like letting themselves go into the music, and that's when they think about you and will be crying. It's like they don't even realize they're crying until they feel tears going down their face. I'm hearing a lot of people repress their feelings, repress their tears over you, but then when it does come out, it's just suddenly flooding out, and it's so intense, and it's so much. People get really triggered by their emotions towards you, or the intensity of their emotions towards you. People feel like there's something wrong with them because of that. They feel like they shouldn't be feeling so intensely towards you. Some people cry because, like, they would treat you like you were a sin, or they would treat you like they felt wrong for being with you, or they felt like wrong for being in a relationship with you. And I guess they didn't realize how much that was affecting you or hurting you, pile two. And now they're crying over the regret of that because they realize how much that actually hurt you and how fucked up that was. People are crying because they have no other choice to move on. It's like I keep hearing, I have no choice. I have no other choice to move on. It's like they don't want to move on. They really, really don't. And they're really stuck on that. But they know they have no other choice to move on. And they'll cry over that for just hours and hours. It's like instead of trying to move on, they'd rather just cry over it. I don't know, pal, too. It's like people really liked having a relationship with you. Something about being in a relationship with you was really... what's the word? I don't know. I don't want to say profitable because it makes it sound like you're a fucking cash cow. It's like you get a lot out of it. You get a lot out of being in a relationship with you, pal, too. And it's like once that's cut off from people, they didn't realize. It's like it's almost like a drug for them. They didn't realize how much they needed that energy, how much they relied on that stability of like unconditional love that you have, pal, too. And people will cry over that because they don't have unconditional love within themselves, and they miss having it from you as a regular supply from you because of their relationship to you. Oh shit, I just heard people cry because you hate them. It's like you used to love people, you used to be vulnerable to them, open to them, and now it's completely cut off. Maybe you're more of like, you've gotten more cold, you're more of like that bitch now, pal, too. You've gotten to be like more in your ego and not like taking no shit. And it's like people are realizing you don't want to fucking hear their bullshit. You don't want to deal with their bullshit. You are not giving out your cup like that no more. And they're crying over it. They're like intensely crying over it. It's like, I know Pile 2 hates me. I know they hate me. I know they hate me. And it's like they can't get over the fact they hate you. It's like they're sitting there being like, okay, maybe Pile 2's anger and hatred is justified. Maybe I did do something to deserve this. They're just like, oh, poor me. Pile 1 or Pile 2 hates me. Pile 2 used to love me and now they hate me. Also, if it's not hate, it's just the fact that you're indifferent. Your indifference. Like, people will cry over your indifference to them. It's like they want you to love them. They want you to be vulnerable with them. They want you to be giving out your love to them, giving your unconditional love to them, and now you're just indifferent. They might as well be a stranger to you. You're just like, okay. And they are devastated by this. Like, they care about you so much. These people crying over you are so messed up over you, pal, too. But you're indifferent towards them? You couldn't care less about how much they care? It's just like, it's mind-blowing to them, pal, too, and they cannot get over it. They will cry and cry over it. They're like, pal 2 just doesn't care anymore. Pal 2 just doesn't even care. They don't even see me as an option. They don't even see me as a person in their life. They just see me as a stranger. I keep hearing You're Just a Stranger by Caliucci's. Watching from the bleachers, 'cause you can't take the danger. Yeah. These people who cry about you, crying because they're watching you, instead of doing their own shit, instead of focusing on their own stability, their own relationships, instead of focusing on moving on and finding different options. It's just like they're stuck on you. People will cry over you because they're stuck on you. And it's not just like, oh, they miss you, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like, people really miss your stability. You're a really grounded, really well-rounded, intelligent, down-to-earth person. You're real. You're a real one, pal, too. And it's like, you don't see that a lot in life. You don't get a lot of people like that. And people will literally cry over that loss. It's like, I'm hearing you take that L, take that loss. It's like, losing you is a whole next level L. It's like, I'm hearing, and everybody was like, you don't just cheat on a pregnant woman, you cheat on Rihanna while she's pregnant. Like, that is just such a loss, man. It's that level of clownery. I'm literally hearing the clown music in my head. Like, people get stuck on you because they feel like clowns for losing you. They feel like clowns for not realizing how awesome you were and how much they needed you and how much that stability really matters in life. It's like maybe people who didn't prioritize stability are now like hung the fuck up over you because they are needing that stability in their chaotic ass lives. And you're not answering the ringer. It's ringing, but you're not answering. Just get on my card. 4 of Cups. Yeah. When people cry about you, trust me, it's not just a little bit of a cry. It's not just like a little bit tearing up. They get really deep in their emotions. They're not just crying about you. Suddenly they're crying about every single trauma in their life. Suddenly every dot is connecting about every sad thing and bad thing ever happened in the world. And how that affects their lives and how they're a loser, how they're a clown. It's just like the people who cry over you, pal, too, are the type of people to repress their emotions to the point where it just comes spilling out of them. And they go a little bit crazy because they're just exploding with emotion and they're going so deep in it that they can't even ground themselves. They're just spiraling and spiraling. I just saw a spider on my wall before I started this reading, pile 3, so you might got a lot of strangers crying about you. We got this eyeshadow brush. This is gonna be your reading, pile 3. Pile 3. Spirit, what's going on with the energy here? The letters F, A, R, and H might be significant. Especially the letter A is what I'm hearing. Who crying over my pile 3? Crying over my pile 3. I just heard, why are you crying? Why are you crying? Some of you might listen to Lil Peep. That's from his song, I Feel Like I'm Still Alive. But, when people cry about you, the people around them, like friends and family, might ask them why they're crying over you. Or they may ask themselves why they're crying over you. It's like a lot of people who cry over you deny the fact that they even care about your existence, deny the fact that they even care about you at all, while they are crying about you. It's like these people are in huge denial over their like misgivings, over their issues, you know. We have the Eight of Pentacles. Might have some coworkers crying over you, or crying over you in the workplace. Somebody's crying because they're jealous over your work. They see you as competition, specifically in a career setting. They might see you as trying to sabotage them, or they might be like, oh, pile 3's out for me. But it's their own insecurity and being unable to be creative in their career. We have King of Wands and the Sun. There's this weird energy of jealousy. Like, a lot of people crying over you, pile 3, are extremely, like, their tears are extremely laced with jealousy. Jealousy over the beauty of your energy and your inner child and the truth you stand in. And jealousy over your sense of love, your sense of relationships and expressing yourself. You're beautiful, pile 3. You have an otherworldly sense of beauty to you, but this brings a lot of jealousy. And jealousy to the point where people get emotional about it. Maybe people get really insecure about, I'm hearing men or women who are in a relationship, men, women, or non-binary people who are in a relationship will get jealous of you, pile 3, because their partner, they think you're gonna steal them away from their partner. They think that your partner likes you. It's just like, you don't even know these people, pile 3, but it's like they're so jealous of you and they'll be crying because of their insecurity and they're comparing themselves to you. Yes, that's what it is. People will compare themselves to you and be crying because they're coming up short. It's like you were meant to teach people these karmic lessons about comparing themselves to you. Because everyone has their own beauty. Nobody's gonna be exactly the same as me or you ever. But it's like some people just never realize that because they're stuck comparing themselves to other people and stuck one-upping their own beauty and one-upping themselves and telling themselves they need to be better, or prettier, or skinnier, or fitter, or stronger. It's just like you get a lot of insecure people who compare themselves to you to the point where they like cry over their own insecurities. Damn, that's intense. You must be really hot or something, pile 3. I'm hearing pretty privilege. I'm hearing people cry over their dreams about you. Like, people will dream about you and then wake up and start crying. Whether because they miss you or because they really like to dream about you. You're just a really mystical person, pile 3. That's the energy I'm really picking up on. You're a really mystical person with a really loving aura, a very loving and compassionate aura, and Jesus Christ, I'm hearing, I feel honored to just even bask in your light. It's like people revere you on the next level, bro. Like, this is some next level worshipful reverent ass shit. Like, people act like you hung the fucking moon up in the sky. And that's why they'll be crying over you. It's like people really feel like you're ethereal and your presence is just blessing them with fucking God's glow or some shit. Like, it's some dramatic shit, but people are passionate about it. They're like, God damn, Power 3, you be getting me in my feelings. Like, God damn. People really get in their feelings about, I'm hearing, your body or your sexual nature. You pack Power 3. No matter what you got, no matter what parts you got, your heart, what you bring to the table in the bedroom, you are packing. You got the whole package. And people be crying over that. They'd be like, damn, Power 3 was good, but Power 3 is also probably the best I'm ever gonna get. And I start crying. Or like, damn, I had used to have a chance to be with Power 3, but I totally ruined it because of my selfish actions. And then they'll start crying. Or, damn, I really wish I could be with Power 3, but it's unrequited love. And then they'll start crying. It's like, people cannot get over that budussy. I'm serious. That dick, that pussy, that ass, whatever you got, bitch. I'm serious when people are like, I feel hot all over just talking about it. I can barely even fucking channel this shit because I feel so ridiculous. I feel like I'm gonna start fucking saying shit I'm not supposed to be saying. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. People will go in a whole spiral of doing shit just to get back at you or get towards you or be near you. It's just like, it's centered around you. And then they'll it's like they'll start in the East Coast and then end up in some fucking bathroom on the West Coast. And they'll be sitting there wondering, like, how did I even get here? And then they'll realize their obsession with you caused them to go this far. And they'll break down crying. It's like people will go through the absolute most and justify their actions by saying it's for you, Power 3, or it's because of you, Power 3. And then they'll start crying because they realize that they're actually crazy and that they let themselves get so hung up over your energy. I keep hearing, I can't believe I actually did that. I can't believe I actually did that. Like, people will act crazy over you, Power 2. People will do some horrendous ass shit and then look back on it and be like, why was I acting so weird towards Power 3? Why did I do that shit toward... I don't even know. It's like maybe these people will act super weird towards you in person because they're super triggered by the intensity of your energy and what they feel for you. And then they'll look back on it and be like, what the fuck made me act like that? I was acting a fool. I was acting a damn fool. They're like, oh my god. They feel like actually a little bit concerned. Yeah, maybe this is something you're used to, Power 3, is just having to deal with people acting overly emotional or overly triggered by you or towards you. And then we have the sun here. So, you know, people cry because they love you. People, seriously, Power 3, people cry because they love you. Like, seriously, it's just like a light within them that fills them with love, and it's just like so intense and so beautiful. And they'll cry over that because you're a really beautiful person, Power 3. And people will cry over feeling like they share that inner love and light with you. And that intense, infinite beauty in the universe, they share that with you. I'm hearing if you had like parents who were like a significant part of your life as a child, that they cry over the part of you that is a child. They cry over the memories of you being a child. I'm also hearing for some of you who had particularly negative or toxic parents, they cry over how they treated you as a child. Like literally, they cry over it. They cry and cry and cry. Like instead of treating you good as a child, they regret it later on. Like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have traumatized my child. Silly old me. Oh yeah. But no. Yeah, I'm hearing people cry over you because they realize and they see that you are just a true person, a pure person. Your intentions are always true and clear. You're never lying. You never have malicious intent, pile 3. And maybe people have treated you like you did or assumed you did. And it's like people cry over regretting assuming that of you. People cry over hurting you because now they realize that you always had pure intentions at heart. You were always this good person operating from your inner light and inner love, and that's it. You were only doing things out of love, ever. And it's like maybe people rejected that in themselves.